Okay. All right. Good afternoon, Region 4, and happy Friday before Memorial Day weekend. Just want to remind you all to enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, wear your sunscreen, and honor those people who served our country and those frontline individuals of today. We are experiencing our own at-home war at this moment in time, and we really want to give thanks to all those frontline individuals, those nurses and those doctors, keeping people safe and saving lives. So let's honor them this weekend. I also want to note that today marks the 12th year anniversary of the tornado that came through the Project Work Zone here in Region 4. And I was not around for that event, but I remember hearing about it. And so for those of you who experienced that, it was 12 years ago today. So with that, I'm gonna present a few things about our budget, just because I said that's what I would do. And I'd like to, and I'm gonna give it in my terms, which is very layman's terms, but I'm also gonna be sending a link to the Transportation Commission meeting, because I think when we're talking about budget, it is best to hear it directly from our CFO. We also had the fortunate experience to have our treasurer of the state at the Transportation Commission meeting as well. So I'll try to, it's a long recorded commission meeting, but I will get you those minutes and where you can fast forward to that point. So let me share my screen. So are you seeing that? Okay. So the state revenue forecasts on May 12th, OSPB and the JBC, revenue forecasts are lower than what they thought they were going to be in March. GDP is going to decrease by 5.6% this year. They anticipate a nearly $900 million deficit in this fiscal year. And the general fund revenue expectations are to reduce by about $2.4 billion. I have heard that the state as a whole is anticipating somewhere around a $7 billion hit over the next 3 years due to COVID. The HUTF, which is what's directly tied to CDOT and our gas tax dollars, they are recognizing are anticipating anywhere between a $45 to $115 million hit to our program at CDOT. I am going to show you, and I've got a couple slides. I'm sort of fast forwarding. The other thing that I want to mention is we do have, so we've got our base program, which is pretty much all from HUTF. And then we have Senate Bill 267, which was, a lot of people have been talking about it. It was something that was put in legislation, I believe, in 2017 or 2018, but it guaranteed, what it did is it outlined 4 years of funding for transportation. We have received our funds for the first year, and it appears we're going to receive those for the second year, which is fiscal year 21. What is really uncertain right now is whether or not we would receive those out years, which is years 3 and 4, or next year. And that is a basically $1 billion hit to all those projects that we put on that list. The other thing that, and why this is of interest to us, is along with 267, there's Senate Bill 263, which is general fund transfers to pay the debt on those COPs. That are providing that $500 million annually. That debt service, we don't anticipate getting those general fund transfers, seeing the deficits that they're experiencing. So that is a direct hit to CDOT's base program. And this just shows, and this is a worst case scenario, but this just shows how we are going to address, or what we anticipate to be base program hits, and then what strategies we need to put in place to address this anticipated shortfall. One of the reasons why the HUTF fund is down, I mean, it doesn't take a scientist to realize that traffic volumes are down, and I think this is a great chart sort of showing how volumes have fallen off. The silver lining is we've taken advantage of that on I-25, for instance, doing a lot of daytime closures. I think maybe the other silver lining, depending on how you look at it, is we are no longer going to be continuing those daytime closures because volumes are starting to climb back up. So from a standpoint of HUTF funds and gas tax revenue, that is good, that volumes are increasing again. And here's just another good graph sort of showing, obviously snowstorms affect our traffic volumes as they should. People should stay home. And then when that stay in place order hit, when restaurants and bars opened, and now you can see that upward climb as things start to, as we come out of the stay-at-home order and into more of the safer at-home order. Again, another graph on I-70. I wanted to hit on just a couple of the things that we're taking into consideration of how we're going to compensate for anticipated shortfalls. We've sort of heightened at the executive management level review on hiring. That does not mean we're not hiring people anymore. We're just making sure that obviously we've got something for that individual to do as they come on, and is it a necessary hire today? We are looking at, we're going to be working with each division and region directors to say, is there anywhere in our budgets that we can make, and again, on a program, and I'm probably going to quote this wrong, but I think we have a base program of around $1.4 billion. So when we take say a $45 million hit, potentially, potentially, maybe 25 to 50 in a given fiscal year, it is significant, but it is not detrimental. And a lot of little cuts can make up that amount. And so, but that is the sort of the strategic review that the division and the region directors are going to be doing to say, are there some things that are nice to haves but not have to haves? And maybe we will defer doing some of those activities. There are some initiatives, again, in that grouping of have to haves and nice to haves. I think all of our initiatives are needed and they're great ideas, but some of them maybe aren't necessary at this time and they need to take another look at them. As well as, they're talking about some tighter budget policies. They want to limit some of the roll forwards. A lot of times, we are a governmental agency who has a budget set for the fiscal year, and we are expected to, a lot of planning goes into how that budget's set, and the expectation is you spend all that budget, to $0 at June 30th, and by the time we turn over the new fiscal year, now we get this big pool of money to go again. That doesn't always happen. A lot of times because of maybe seasons and the weather, maybe it's when we got a contract signed. A lot of times we have to roll over budget from one year to the next year. Ideally, that's not best practice, but we do it. So they want to maybe limit some of the ability to roll those forward because they would like to get some dollars in the TC contingency pool, which will help offset those reductions that we need to take. There's also some new clearance processes for task orders and contracts. There's always a certain threshold for approval. If it went above a certain threshold, it had to go to executive management for review and approval. They've lowered that threshold just so we can be more diligent and vigilant on how we're spending those dollars. And again, there's that additional review process for all personnel actions. So with that, I'm going to probably end it on sort of the general overarching budget discussion, but I know there was a comment that came in, Jared.
Yeah, so while you're getting done sharing here, I'd say that the question that we got was really about a rumor that we've heard in Region 4 as well as throughout CDOT about CDOT's ability to make payroll in the next month. How would you respond?
Yeah, so I want to first by saying, yes, you will make payroll and you will get paid this month and next month. And as long as you continue to be gainfully employed by CDOT, you will receive a paycheck. The reason why that is used is, like I had mentioned before, we set budgets, but they are estimates, right, at the beginning of the fiscal year. And how do we manage that budget? Well, you break it down into all of these categories. So each program area has a budget to manage, and then you break that program down into operational budget and personnel services. At the end of the day, all of that is rolled up. So when any given program area, let's take maintenance for example, is managing, say, that personal services budget, they say, all right, we're 50% through the year, but we are 55% spent. So that is giving you the impression that, hey, we may be running out of personal services budget by the end of the year. So if you've heard that, that is the reason why they say, hey, we may not be able to make payroll. I think that's probably a bad use of words. It's really just we're overspent in that category. But at the end of the day, all the budget rolls up. So we break it out into all these little micro piles, and then we roll it all back up. And so although we may be overspent in personal services, we might have savings in our operations. And so, what the direction right now given to maintenance, as they've run a bunch of different scenarios, not only at the region level, but at the statewide level, is they're saying, hey, let's maybe push off some of those material and heavy equipment related activities till the 1st of July, and let's do labor intensive. That way we make sure that we are staying within what we would consider the overarching maintenance budget. And I kind of look at it as, you get a certain paycheck every month, and you know how much is going to go to groceries and how much is going to go to your insurance and how much is going to go to gas. But then, in any given year, in any given month, you have to go get new tires. And so that sort of swings, that month's expenditure. Now you're spending more on auto maintenance than anticipated. So maybe you're going to spend a little less on groceries. Maybe you won't eat out as much that month. And so it's no different at the statewide level. That's how budgets are managed. But because it's so massive, we have to break it down into all these little buckets. So that is the only question we received, but I just want to give that level of confidence that yes, you will all get paid. I want to change gears to just a couple of good news items. I want to highlight, I have I think we all enjoy the teams we work with, and I think at the leadership level, I never got an opportunity to brag about my team. And I really enjoy my leadership team. They're a rock for me. We check in 3 times a week, and then I check in with others of them on multiples of them multiple times a day. So I am in constant contact with my RLT, but I just want to take a moment to brag about a few. One is Juliet Sheets. For all of you guys, you know her as our civil rights lead. She also is a coach in her spare time. She was a college basketball player, and she coaches basketball, and she received Coach of the Year again this year. She received it last year and this year, and I just think that speaks to her, her respect to and importance to teams, to leading, to managing and coaching. That direction, obviously, that's not an award given by me, but that was given by her peers and her students. And so I think that speaks highly of that. I also want to recognize Jared File, and Jared File's son, who, honestly, I read the article and I was very impressed with what he has done. He graduated this year, as many of you have students who graduated in 2020, and it's unique. It's not, I think they got shafted in what should be a formal graduation, but he was able to do a virtual reception for his graduation at CU. He also graduated with magna cum laude, which is a very high achievement. He's got getting his degree in technology, arts, and media, and as Jared said, it's the really practical side of engineering. unlike the rest of us who got like the geeky side of engineering, he got a much more tangible side of engineering. And so I'm going to attach the link to his article because I think it's really interesting. And if I were Jared File, I would be a very proud father.
Well, thank you, Heather. I appreciate that.
Yeah, it was great. So, you know, I don't have highlights for all of my other RL team members, but I just want to say thanks to all of you. You guys are great. I really do appreciate the support I receive from you guys. Sometimes it's a subtle text message, hey, Heather, you're doing a great job. It means a lot when you're a leader because sometimes you don't always hear that. And so it's great to know that I am in these uncertain times still at least leading to the best of my abilities from my basement, which is really hard to be up close and personal with people when we're sitting in our basements. So again, I have a last link. I'm going to have a lot of links on this email, but the last link I want to leave you is for those of you who are country fans, or not country fans, I should say. I'm sorry. Because I am a huge country fan. I love country music. And so even if you aren't a country fan, I strongly encourage you to just listen. And you don't even have to listen. You could put it on mute and you could read the words to the lyrics of Luke Combs, 6 Feet Apart. And I think it's just a great, encouraging song that knows, you know, we're in crappy times, but these too shall pass. And all the things that we are going to love and do when all this subsides. So listen to the song. You may become a country fan after you listen to the song. All right. Well, with that, I hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Please be safe. Please be smart. Wear your sunscreen and honor those.